We're gonna get started in 1 minute. Okay, well, it's 12:02. I know we have a lot of exciting updates today, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope 2022 is finding everyone so well. I am Kelsey Green, for those of you who don't know me. I work with the WSU Food Systems Program, and I'm the lead for Cascadia Grains this year. I started out, gosh, I don't know, many years ago, 5 or so, as a volunteer, and then I helped ABBA put on the events for the last couple years before COVID. So I'm so excited to be here. I'm located in Ellensburg, and I was just saying that it is very snowy over here. So I'm glad I don't have to drive over the pass again. Made it for Christmas and back, and I'm just hunkered down. So I know lots of people are getting some crazy weather. This meeting is being recorded, and it will be available to be viewed on the Cascadia Grains website. And I'll go ahead and send out an email to this list when it's ready. And I'll just say, for when you give your update, if you would like a specific resource, a link listed as we list the projects on the website, just go ahead and stick that in the chat box, and that will help us know how to guide people to the projects that you're working on. So if you're new here, these regional calls are held quarterly, and they are an open source opportunity for folks to connect around all the great work happening in the region. You're welcome to give an update on a new project, like maybe you have a great idea, you just want to tell folks like how your work has been going, that's great. If you just want to listen in, that is okay too. So I'm going to go ahead and start by giving a quick update on this year's Cascadia Grains, and then I'll hand it over to the rest of the WSU Food Systems team to introduce themselves and follow up on any discussion there. And then I'll go ahead and call on folks to give, again, whatever update you'd like to give. And if you're willing to use the hand raise function, you can find that down in the lower section, at least on my computer, in the reactions area, and you'll see the like woohoo and the heart and whatever, and there should be a raise hand button there. So if you want to go ahead and use that, and I'll just call on folks throughout the meeting. And then farmers, we'd love to invite you to go first. So any questions on the format of this meeting or logistics before we dive in? Okay, hearing none, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So I will launch into talking about this year's Cascadia Grains Conference, and then I'll hand it over to Laura to do any follow-up. Well, admittedly, planning this year's event has been a little bit tricky with COVID, and given the nature of this event historically, which was this amazing big conference in late January, which I know lots of you have attended, one of my favorite things in the world. We just didn't feel comfortable not knowing what's going to happen with the variants to hold an event like that, especially right after the holidays when we imagined there was going to be a big spike. And I don't know about you, but I have been seeing that here. So I think that was the right call. We talked about maybe doing some pod events around the region, spread out through the year, but actually heard that even despite COVID, people did want to gather up in one place, even if it meant in smaller groups, but maybe with the option to do some networking. And there is an Inland Grains event planned for the summer, which I think someone will be updating on today. So I think we're going to move forward with sort of a scaled down event for this year. And we are looking at March 11th and 12th. We wanted to accommodate folks that didn't feel comfortable gathering in person at all. So Friday, March 11th, we'll be doing a virtual day. and we'll have sessions and a keynote. And then Saturday, March 12th, we'll do an in-person day with some workshops around the South Puget Sound region, but without that one main gathering spot. However, like I said, there will be some options for networking if you feel comfortable. So that is what we're looking at this year. And we're working on the draft program for that. Again, it's going to be a little bit more scaled back than it was before. So with that said, I am crossing my fingers that for January 2023, we can resume our big conference. I don't know if that's too optimistic, but I'm hopefully going to start planning that with the with the blessing of the food systems team, and hopefully January next year we can resume our amazing gathering. So Laura, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you if you want to do any follow-ups, introduce yourself, give any updates, and then I'd like to pass it over to Alan and Abba, and then we'll bring it up to the group.
Thanks, Kelsey, and Happy New Year, everyone. I hope that this year brings you so much joy and happiness. I know we've all been through a lot, so just even little sparkles of it. And yeah, Kelsey, it's so great to have Kelsey on board with Cascadia Grains. And we're really looking at that Friday day, like she said, the virtual conference, to be very similar to what we would normally have done for our Saturday in-person event. So similar tracks, we'll still have a production track, we'll have a business track, we'll have a processing track, we'll have a food justice track, and really dig into those areas with some awesome speakers. So excited about having a full day still to provide virtually. And then, like she mentioned, that Saturday opportunity to get together and do some of the hands-on events, work that we've done in the past, tours, and really being able to connect with one another in much smaller groups and hopefully outside and spread out. So we're still figuring all of this out, but excited to move forward. I'm going to be transitioning out of WSU at the end of January formally, but we'll still be an adjunct with the university and we'll still be involved with Cascadia Grains. So I'm not going anywhere. I just won't be doing as much with WSU as I have been in the past, and really excited about opportunities moving forward and still being connected to Cascadia Grains and this movement in general to support regional grains opportunities really across the country. So excited to be here, excited to see you all today, and I'm going to pass it over to Abba.
Thanks, Laura, and good morning, everyone. Abba Kiser here. I am the former coordinator of the initiative for Cascadia Grains, and I'm really excited for the new leadership that's coming in with Kelsey and Alan. Is now the time to give updates, Kels, or yeah?
I think that makes sense, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I just wanted to let folks know that there are, of course, other initiatives across the country that are doing very similar work to the Cascadia Grains initiative. I see some of our partners on the line right now. Claudia Carter, hello. And I wanted to just share my screen, and I'll post this in the chat as well. But if you want to stay connected with those larger initiatives, you can subscribe to this newsletter for the Stable Pulse newsletter, which is currently being housed within Rural Action and Michelle Ajamian's folks over in the Midwest and in Appalachia. And you can subscribe at the link that I posted in the chat. And I also just wanted to just show you what some examples are of past issues, and really what Michelle's trying to do is gather up all the info from all of our all the leaders across the country doing this work into really vibrant and very on point newsletters, lots of great content, recipes. She has a Miller's peer group that if you're interested in joining, you can get in touch with her. There are a lot of folks already involved with this, but just in case you didn't know, there's policy briefs. We also have this North American Staple Network, which is kind of informally what we're calling the national group. So, folks like the Common Grain Alliance and Rocky Mountain Seed Alliance are a part of this. And we really just meet quarterly to just discuss different initiatives and share ideas. But if you're interested in getting involved in this newsletter, you can sign up at the link I posted, and I hope that you do. There's some really amazing content that's curated quarterly by this group, and they're holding the torch in a good way. So just wanted to let you all know, and I'll pass it to Alan.
Thanks, Abba, and thanks, everyone. I think I don't have too much to add, but I'd like to just take a moment to introduce myself because I'm new to the Cascadia grains world a little bit. My name is Alan, and I have and currently work for UW, as well as doing some work with WSU. I have been in the food systems world in various ways in the state and a little beyond, and for quite some time, and I'm excited to be kind of working with Kelsey here on Cascadia grains moving forward. So I'm kind of the right hand helper with organizing and planning. So stoked to be here.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Abba. Great. And I just had to say, I am so thankful that Alan and I are on a team together, and you'll be seeing his name quite a bit too. And I hope that we can continue this work together into the future. So great. All right. Well, I think that's it for our smaller core team. And so I'm going to go ahead and open it up to farmers first. So if you want to use your little hand raise function, and there's a lot of folks on this call, I'm so excited to see that. But if I'm missing anyone, Alan, please jump in and assist. I'm looking for a hand raise. Oh gosh, does no one? Oh, excellent. I see Pryor.
All I have to do is learn how to unmute my phone. Hi, everybody. So I'm Pryor Garnett. I grow certified organic grain in the Western Willamette Valley in Sheridan, just south of McMinnville. It's wine country there, and I'm kind of going against the grain. In terms of what's going on, I've got about 65 acres planted, 11 acres of malting barley for a local distillery, and about 50 acres of triticale for the grain mill down in Eugene. It's quite a ride last year. I'm hoping we have a slightly more normal one this year. The crops are in. They haven't washed down the hill or anything. So like all farmers this time of year, I'm an optimist. Any questions or anything you want to hear about, Kelsey? Others?
Any questions for Pryor? I'm right there with you in terms of being an optimist. I see one in the chat box. Let's see.
Yeah, what particular variety of barley am I planting? Good question. And I'm messing around with barley, and I've got a remarkably tolerant and understanding customer. We're trying two different varieties. One variety developed at Oregon State University is called Lightning. It's the successor to Thunder, but Thunder was more of an east of the Cascades variety, and Lightning is supposed to be more of a west side variety. So I have about half my acreage, about 5.5 acres in Lightning. The other 5.5 acres of barley is a variety developed for the mostly for the East Coast by Lima Grain. It's called Calypso, and they're both looking good. I planted them in alternating swaths of about 60 feet apiece, so that I can actually separate them when I combine, and we'll see if there's a flavor profile difference or a yield difference, or we're just messing around here. Kelsey, there was another question in the chat. Shall I tackle that one as well about the triticale?
Yeah, sounds great.
Sure. So the triticale, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a relatively modern cross between wheat and rye. It stands about half again as tall as wheat, but not, a monster like rye. It has a flavor right in between the two, kind of nutty, I love it. And the variety that I'm planting is not a well, I have to sell it as a VNS, or variety not specified. It is saved seed that I grew out a few years ago uh, from a named variety. And I'm basically trying to see how seed saving works for me. I happen to like the variety. It has done well on my land. And ask me again in August and I'll tell you what happened.
You should talk. I don't know if you've ever spoken to Bill Myers, but he's been saving Baroness for a long time and adapting it to his location. And he would be a great farmer to reach out to. He's in the Palouse, but just to give you some strategies, happy to. We'll put his email in the chat, but he might be a useful source of information and inspiration.
I'm all well. Inspiration is why I come to Cascadia Grains, but information, I could use all the help I can get. I'd love to get his contact details. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Pryor. That's great. And thanks for kicking us off. That was excellent. All right. How about to Joel?
Hey, hi, everybody. Let me get my hand down now. So I'm an organic farmer in near Walla Walla, 400 acres. I'm also a value-added organic processor. I raise a lot of different grains. One of the ones that I'm excited about right now is called Wint Malt out of Barley World OSU, Pat Hayes, that I planted end of September. Fortunately, we got snow cover before all this cold weather, -9 degrees hit. So it was insulated and, knock on wood, it's looking good right now. I malt some of my grains, but I'm gonna spend part of this winter upgrading my malter for higher capacity for just local microbreweries and the like. Also for just steeping for sprouted flours and sprouted grains. I have a flour mill. I took my website down back in the summer because I need to hire somebody to do everything. I can't do it all. And I can make more money doing other things than my flour mill. If someone would take it and run with it, it would go really good, I think. But that mill does about 300 pounds an hour. So I could still kick out a lot. But I've left it at the moment. So I also got 2 big seed cleaners this last year, 1960 model Crippen cleaners. I cleaned semi-loads of grain for myself and the organic neighbors all year long. I have a grain dryer. It's running right now. It's drying corn for an organic grower down by Ione, down the river. And that corn is going to Wilcox up at Roy for the poultry production up there. And it's been really problematic. They were out of feed today. The truck showed up there today at noon. Just to kind of not, I can dry it fast, but just getting it to me from the field this time of year and over there on the roads has been really a challenge. So there's that aspect. What do I want to do going forward in the year? I would like to continue with more seed cleaning sophistication. So getting my indent machines online. I want to get a Sortec machine. I'm going to do more dehulling and pearling, and adding some more organic labels to my mix of products that I already do. Things like cracking peas, for instance, for split peas, that kind of stuff. So kind of busy, a lot going on, refurbishing a bunch of old pivots from the neighbor. So we put in 4 last year, used pivots that I got for $1. And they're game changers as far as irrigation efficiency goes. The ones I'm going to put on this year, I'm going to convert to drip from just regular Nelson mid-level emitters. So I'm continuing on the path toward greater water efficiency. So anyway, I could go on, but I better quit.
Well, thank you so much, Joel. That was great. All right, other farmers looking for hands. All right, Jessica.
Hi. It's me too, trying to figure out how to put the hand up and turn on video and stuff. So I'm Jessica Moon from Moon Family Farm, farm in Southeast Washington near Tri-Cities. We've got our winter wheat and our spelt in the ground now. It's doing really well. It's about 4 inches tall. So it's doing good, and we've seeded our native grasslands already. We're considering planting some teff, which is like a gluten-free African grain, and it's very drought resistant. So considering that, see how that goes. We are doing a lot of maintenance and repairs now this downtime, and working on conservation project planning and stuff. But we do sell grain directly, and then we also have Ethos Bakery, who's also on the call here. Hi, Angela. They do mill our grain, and it's sold there and also online, I believe. And then also Cairn Spring Mills also mills our grain. So thanks for having us on the call. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Jessica. Great to see you. Okay.
Thanks.
Who is next? Looking for a hand. Any other farmers before we move on? Okay. All right, everybody. All right, I see Matt.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Hoffman, co-founder and managing director of Westland Distillery here in Seattle. I see that our distillery manager, Tyler Peterson, is also on this call. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we make single malt whiskey here in Seattle. We use about 5,500 pounds of malt every day, 7 days a week, so long as everything's working, you know. So and that's all we do: single malt whiskey, 100% malted barley. We source from both east and west of the Cascades. We work with all 4 of the region's major maltsters, which is Grey Western, Skagit Valley Malting, Link, and Mainstem. So we're pretty heavily invested, I guess, in the idea of a regional grain economy. 90% of the barley we source comes from Washington State. We're trying to get that to 100% by 2023. We believe we have a plan to get there. We also fully fund a PhD student through a fellowship program with WSU Mount Vernon, working with the bread lab up there on new varieties of barley. We're really, really interested in colored barleys. So not the blonde or tan colored barleys, but the black, blue, and purple stuff, which we believe has really exciting flavor. We'll be 100% moved to sustainable agricultural systems. So basically salmon safe as a baseline by 2025. And we're developing these new varieties with WSU Mount Vernon that will be open to the public. The varieties will belong to us. So anybody who's on this call who's a farmer, especially if you're west of the Cascades, the stuff that's coming out of that program will probably be relevant to you. So yeah, so that's it. We talk about the terroir of the Pacific Northwest, and we champion this part of the world as being one of the best places to grow barley, and that's a really compelling thing for single malt whiskey enthusiasts globally. So that's what we do.
Wonderful, Matt. Thank you so much. That's exciting stuff. All right. Okay, who's next? Ethos?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. Okay, great. I'm actually calling in from Hood River. I was on the west side for a few days and got stuck in the snowstorm out here. And it looks like the snow is heading towards Richland now. So it's gonna be an interesting drive home. So hopping on this call before I head out. But yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on Jessica actually as one of our primary farmers that we work with for milling our in-house grains. We also work with Blues Heritage quite a bit, who is based in Nicot, Washington. And we get to work with a lot of really exciting grains. Just about a year ago, we upgraded our mill. We had a Meadows mill and we upgraded it to a New American Stone mill. And that's been really exciting for us as the bakers to get to work with that product. Our area in the Tri-Cities is a little harder to convince to get on board with whole grains, especially from the retail side of things. So while we had hoped our retail sales would have been a lot bigger this year, it's growing a little more slowly than we expected, but we're making some progress. And towards the end of last year, we really put a lot of emphasis towards some classes that we've been trying to start doing, specifically a Taste the Grainbow is sort of our intro level class, working with some local wineries in the area, and did like a wine and grain tasting that Jessica and Garrett were both in attendance at, and did a coffee and grain tasting, and did our first hands-on dough class in a long time as well. So that was really exciting to start to get people together in small groups carefully. But also I think exciting for our team. Our lead baker and miller really has an interest in education. And so she's been spearheading a lot of those movements. And I guess I should back up. My name's Angela Cora. I'm one of the owners of Ethos Bakery in Richland, Washington. And we've been in-house milling since we opened 10 years ago, but on kind of a smaller scale. And again, with the purchase of our New American Stone mill, really looking to expand that. And we're going to be looking at a new facility in 2022 as our lease is up on our current location, and we're kind of maxing out our production space on the bakery side, and just kind of looking at some opportunities to expand the milling operation and the bread side as well. As I mentioned, our region's a little harder to convince to do local grains. Even local baking is a challenge. So, but we're excited because we're seeing more wholesale interest from area restaurants in our community. And so that's been an area that we're slowly starting to grow in terms of our wholesale bread accounts and potentially even some wholesale flour accounts. So that's our update from our corner of the state. So, and I'm excited to learn that there is going to be an Inland Empire event this summer, and hopefully we can get involved in that as well. So thanks, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. I see Eleanor.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eleanor. I'm calling in from Athens, Ohio, which is in the southeastern part of the state, so a bit farther from you all. But I work with the Appalachian Staple Foods Collaborative, so thanks for the shout out, Ava. We have, like they mentioned, we have a newsletter. It's about quarterly, and it kind of focuses on regional grain economies, technology with milling, and food sovereignty issues. So keep an eye out for the next one. And as an organization, the Appalachian Staple Foods Collaborative is pushing towards bringing more grain initiatives into local farmers markets and school food initiatives. We actually just received a USDA grant of $3,000 to expand our food access program called Neighbor Loaf. So local bakeries and cafes buy locally sourced grains, beans, and nuts, and then produce food that then is purchased to go towards food access programs in our area. So that's been huge. And maybe you might be familiar with Michelle Ajamian's work. She's the founder, and she is also the owner of Shagbark Feed and Mill. So she's a wealth of knowledge, and definitely brings it to the table when with our millers groups and national grain meetings. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And yeah, it's great to be a part of this. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Eleanor. Great to have you here. All right. Who's next? Not everyone at once. Let's see. Alan, let me know if I'm missing anybody. Colette, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know some folks are interested to hear about the Inland Grains event, if you are willing to do an update on that.
Sure, I was just looking for my reaction to raise my hand. So hello, everyone. Yes, we are, I'm working with John Sharman and Kevin Murphy and Ali Schulteis. We're working on planning an inland Northwest artisan grain experience, which we're looking at being probably a Thursday and a Friday in July. So I know I sent you those dates, Kelsey, which you might have already said, but I have to switch screens to be able to look at my calendar, which I'll do real quick to put those dates out there. So July 7th and 8th, and to kind of divide the day up so that in the morning of the 7th, we would be looking at some of the trials that are going on at WSU. We're hoping that we would be able to tour the new WSU malt facility and then move in, so we're kind of doing those field things in the morning when it's really hot, and then moving in an afternoon to really be looking at craft baking and brewing. And then on Friday to go out and visit some farms and to see how things are doing out in the field. We should have a pretty good idea of what we're doing by the beginning of March, or maybe even earlier in February. If anybody wants to be involved in that conversation, please let me know so I can keep you linked by email. We actually do meet in person on the third Tuesday of the month at Paradise Creek Trailside Tap Room in Pullman. And so if you're around and you'd like to join us, that would be great. We meet at 4, but I'm also happy to keep people in the loop via email. And so I'll know more. We have a draft agenda that we're working on right now, but we haven't reached out to our different hosts that we've identified. And so it's kind of more in the planning stages with the idea generation right now. But we do want to be in the field and meeting in person. And we'll identify the chunks so that we know if farmers and others are busy and they want to come to see the field trials at WSU, they'd be able to register for that piece. Or somebody might be really interested in the craft baking and brewing, they can come to that piece. And we will be looking at having a bus to go out and do the field tour. So we would all be able to be together on a bus for that field day going out to different farms. And one of the things that we are really interested in talking about is climate adaptation and climate resiliency, and what we're seeing with different varieties and different types of grains or crops here on the Palouse.
Wonderful. Thanks, Colette. And that's exciting to have a date to hold on our calendars. I do see a question in the chat box. How do we get on your email list for updates on the summer event?
Let me, if you put your name and or put your email and name in the chat, I will make sure that you are part of that. And I'll definitely be letting Kelsey know as well, so she can share with the Cascadia Grains Network. The other thing I'm excited to say is that we're launching our second Inland Northwest Artisan Grains podcast series. Actually today, our first guest is Brett Stevenson with Hillside Grain, and she is a grower that is in Sun Valley, Idaho. And the way that this year's podcast series is set up is the theme is Field to Flower. So we are having a guest that is farmers. It's kind of the farm field portion. And then our next paired podcast is speaking with somebody that is using that grain and turning it into a value-added product. So our next guest is going to be Bread Riot Bakehouse out of Salt Lake City, Utah, that's using Hillside grain flour. And then in February, we are talking with Brooke Lucy from Bluebird Grains and the Mazama Bakery, which is in the Mazama store in North Central Washington. So if you are interested in being a guest in this series and you're working in this area of Field to Flower, please let us know. We do plan to reach out to Jessica and Palouse Heritage and Ethos about being part of that series already. So, but Joel, it sounds like you're doing some really interesting things. Let us know if you would like to be part of that.
Wonderful. Thanks, Colette. So there's a lot of emails being put in the chat box. So Alan and I can help you gather those up and send them to you, because I know it might be hard to get them all right now. One person did ask if you have a link to the podcast you might be able to throw into the chat. Excellent. Oh, I think you might be muted again.
I was muted. I'll put it in the chat, but it's just inwartisangrains.org, and we're on all of the major podcast platforms. And last year, the podcast series was Unpacking the Grain Shed, and we did a deep dive into the vertical value chain integration from Palouse Heritage all the way through Link Malt and to the grain shed in Spokane. And we had a lot of amazing guests from around the Pacific Northwest and actually around the nation that participated in that podcast. So it's a really fun dialogue and follow of that pretty successful relationship-based value chain.
Wonderful. Great. Thanks, Colette. And we'll follow up with you with that list.
Thank you.
All right, I see someone's hand up. Thank you for the proactive hand raise. And it looks like an SPSCC email address, MK, M. Krisher.
Yep, I'm Mark. Pleasure to meet everybody. I'm brand new, and this is my first introduction. Sorry I was late. I don't have much to say other than we have a brewery and a distillery here, and we're just getting started.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Great to meet you. All right. Laura's giving a hand clap. All right. Who's next for updates? All right. I see Stephen.
Hello, my name's Stephen Lee. I'm the plant materials manager. I'm the manager of the Plant Materials Center in Pullman, Washington for the NRCS and USDA. What we do is we do a lot of variety trials. I hear a lot of people talk about varieties and trialing them. And most of the time the NRCS does cover crops, but we also do crop rotations and trying to incorporate other various species into your crop rotation. So, I'm very interested in what everybody's saying here about the resilience and stuff. And so we really test an assortment of species and varieties. So I'm a resource, through the Plant Materials Center. And if you're a farmer and you would like to do some trials, you should contact me. I'll put my address in the chat, and so I'd be open. Also with Colette, I'd be interested in maybe visiting with you in your group at the Palouse at the brewery on Wednesdays as well. I didn't quite get the time and date on when Colette meets with the group, but yeah.
I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Colette. Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephen. All right. Who's next? Okay. Well, I won't force anyone. Any questions for the speakers that have already given their updates? All right. Am I missing anyone, Alan?
Nope, not that I see.
Okay, just making sure.
Elsie,
Okay. Yeah.
this is Steve Van Vliet. I'm the Regional Extension Specialist for WSU here in the heart of the Palouse. And I'm new to this. I just came on. I used to work a lot with grains. I don't actually work much with cereal grains anymore. I do the legume variety testing program. And so if you're interested, I mean, I work with peas, lentils, and chickpeas, also winter lentils. Work a lot out of USDA RS's breeding program and material that comes out of Montana, North Dakota, those areas. Also, I'm doing some work on the side. I do a lot of biofortification work, which I think is very, very important when it comes to not only our small grains, but definitely our legumes, because of the soil conditions that we have around here and the drought that's been occurring lately. But so we're looking at improving selenium levels within our legumes, also selenium levels within the grains, also working with a company on that. But primarily, like I say, I focus on the legumes. And I also am doing some work, probably like Stephen at the Plant Materials Center. I know they have them up on the hill, but I'm doing some work with some favas, with fava beans. And then I've got a lot of material from Acarta looking at chickpea populations, drought-resistant chickpea populations, and early developing chickpea populations from around the world, which is quite interesting. And of course, those all fit into these organic systems too, because I have a master's student that's working on organic and conventional systems in legume production. So just wanted to throw a little bit of that out there.
Wonderful.
That's great, Steve. That's what I did when I was an undergrad at WSU. I worked at the Western Regional Plant Introduction Station and characterized their cold season legume collection. So it's fun work.
Yeah, soon, a couple of years, we'll have our winter chickpeas.
That's great.
But the winter lentils are doing well. So
great news. Jude just had a question about Cascadia, and does that include Southern Oregon? And it does. So Lucas picked this name back in the day with Brad Gerlach, and it is supposed to represent the entire Columbia River watershed. So it includes Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and Southern BC. I mean, we could go further up into BC if we wanted to, but that's kind of the what we consider the geographic region, and it's posted on our website. I think we have a map to just kind of identify what the bioregion is, if you're interested. So
This is Joel. I just want to give a shout out to Stephen for how important it is to work on legumes because of soil acidification. It's a huge sleeping giant, and legumes are the way to get nitrogen back in, particularly in organic system, but also for conventional folks. So it's just really important work to be working on legumes in general. Thanks, Stephen.
no problem. It's good to see you, Joel. It's been a while.
Excellent. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Stephen. I see a question in the chat box. Is anyone in this network working with maize and beans, like Three Sisters and or dryland rice? Anyone making tortillas?
We're out in Ohio, so I don't know if it's relevant, but the Shagbark Seed and Mill does make tortillas, and that would be more on the side of Michelle Ajamian's specialty. I don't really know that much about the processing side of it, but if you want to learn more, I can definitely leave her email in the chat box, and she'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. Thanks. And for those of you who didn't catch it, Colette did put the date and time in, third Thursday of each month, 4 p.m. at Trailside in Pullman. Okay, well, we've got a little bit of time left. We could have a little discussion around anything that's been brought up so far. Obviously, plenty of time for updates. So if anyone would like to jump in and chat about anything. If there's not any more updates, I would just like to open the space up to thank Laura for all the work that she's done. And it's just been such an honor, Laura, to work with you. And I'm sad that you're leaving, but I'm excited for your new path. And I'm also excited that you'll still be involved with Cascadia Grains and WSU. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. And it's been an honor to work with you.
Thanks, Kelsey. And I've had some nice chats too, personal chats. So thank you all. Yeah, thanks everyone. It's been awesome. And I'm excited to stay connected. And sorry, there's so much background noise. But I'm really excited to stay connected. And my passion, even in graduate school, was with grains. I did my PhD work in pearl millet, and it's exciting to see millets being grown more in the United States, especially in the Pacific Northwest. And just excited to stay engaged. So thank you all. I don't want to leave on a sad note, but I did want to also have an opportunity to just share the news, if those of you who might not know, and I'm sure a lot of you already do, that Craig Morris passed away. And that was late October. He was an incredible partner of Cascadia Grains, and I know worked with many of you closely, and just such an incredible, awesome human being. So I just also wanted to see if there was anything that anyone wanted to share about Craig. Just we're going to miss him, obviously, and just such a huge loss, and what a cool guy. So I wanted to also just throw that out there. And again, thank you all. So it's been a great ride, and I'm glad to stay on board as a co-pilot instead of the pilot.
Thanks, Laura. I see some hearts. All right. Well, I know it's probably a really busy week for a lot of folks kicking off the new year. Any last thoughts, comments, updates before we conclude?
Hi, Kelsey. My name is Nathaniel. I missed the first part of the call. I've been a part of the network for a while, but I want to let everyone know that besides being a grower, I've recently moved over to Rodale's consultancy, and Rodale Institute does organic research and consulting, advocacy, education. So there is now a West Coast presence, and that covers Washington, Oregon. So if people are looking to transition over to organic or regenerative organic, we're helping people. We have a few clients in the right around the Portland area and down in Eugene as well. But we'd be happy to help anyone with grains or alley cropping of grains or animal integration, kind of anything, or the organic certification process. I'll include my email in the link in the chat. So, thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for jumping in. I see Pryor's hand up.
Hi. Yeah. If we've got a minute, one of the things that I would like to see happen in my neck of the woods, call it the Portland Metro or Portland Salem, is have more of a grain shed where local needs for grain, whether they're for food grain, distilling, brewing, even feed, are met locally instead of importing it even from the other side of the Cascades, much less Western Canada. If there are others on this call interested in doing the same, I'd love to chat and maybe strategize a bit. It sounds like, especially the folks up in the Palouse are way ahead of me on this one. It seems a shame to leave Portland and its metro consumers out of that opportunity. So if anybody's interested, my email I can put it in the chat, or you can reach out to me through Cascadia Grains. I'd love to see if we can get this thing going. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Pryor. Okay. Right, we have that email. Nathaniel in there, and someone's coming in at the end with a question. Looks like Nicholas Martel. The question is, are there any growers dealing with sorghum? He is part of a distillery interested in making baju. Okay, thanks, Alan.
Nicholas, where are you located?
Hi, I'm in Tumwater, Washington.
Okay.
I work with Heritage Distilling Company, and then I'm also a student at the SPSCC Craft Brewing and Distilling Program.
So there's a couple of universities on the East Coast that are working specifically with sorghum for brewing. And they presented at the Small Farms Conference in 2017. So I can go back and look at their the conference proceedings, or you can look those up. It was the National Small Farms Conference in 2017, and I believe it was the Virginia State University, as well as they were two historic Black land grant universities that had scholars that were both presenting on sorghum for breeding or for brewing. So I'll try to dig it up. If you can't find it, just reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat.
Great. Thanks, Laura. Joel, I saw your hand up, but then maybe you put it back down.
I did. Well, I grow sorghum. So I forget who was interested in sorghum.
It was
Nicholas.
Yeah.
Nicholas.
So connect with Joel.
There we go.
I don't know if Joel's growing it for brewing, but I'm sure you can brew with what he's growing. At least play around with it.
Excellent. And if you haven't caught the emails in the chat, we can work to put these together and send them out to the group. So yeah, I see Ethos. Yeah.
My name is, I should have my name updated on this. It's not just the business. Anyway, I had a question. If I've seen, I think it's the Colorado Artisan Grain Collab has done quite a bit of marketing materials for some of their members and things to distribute to customers as to like, what is a regional grain economy and what is a whole grain, and just some really beautiful marketing materials. And I think that they're probably easily editable for something that is more relevant to the Northwest. But that's something that I know for us is we're really working a lot on education with our local community, is something that I've been curious if Cascadia Grains has existing materials already, or if that's something that you guys have thought about as to something that might be useful for members as we're trying to kind of get past this like leading adopters phase and into more of the mainstream movement and trying to get more people on board and engaged as to what this is even about. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, we would just love to be able to produce all of that kind of material. So, we've looked at doing this before, and we are a soft funded program. So seeking funds, and specialty crop block grants often provide those kinds of resources, but grains aren't included as a specialty crop. So yeah, I'm glad Mary Palmer Sullivan's on the call. Maybe the Grain Commission has some small funds that they want to throw towards regional marketing, but in the future. But yeah, that's definitely something that would benefit all of us, is to be able to get some funds together to be able to do a marketing campaign. So we'll just keep it on our to-do list.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks. Joel, I see a couple of requests for your email if you're willing to pop that into the chat. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much for your participation today. It's been great to connect with new folks and reconnect with some people. So thanks so much for joining. Anything else in the last couple minutes of the call? All right. Well, keep an eye out in your email inboxes for information on this year's Cascadia grains, and then feel free to reach out to me with any questions, follow-up questions in regards to what was covered today. There will be this recording available on the Cascadia Grains website once we get it all tidied up and ready to upload. So I'll go ahead and send an email, as I mentioned, to the same group, letting you know that the recording is available. If you didn't catch everything today, or if you were a little late, no worries. It'll be available to you. All right. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and wrap up. Happy New Year, everyone, and great to meet you and connect with everyone, and have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.